It's a very interesting edition of your program, Business and Economy, where we focus on the global economy across the various economic policies and initiatives. I am Ile Emeje. Following the earlier announcement of tariff increment by the United States of America's President Donald Trump on Wednesday, again announced a 90-day pause on higher band tariffs with the exception of China, imposing a 125% tariff on Chinese goods. The White House has said the change, of course, was all part of Donald Trump's plan to leveraging for negotiation, which it initially took many people by surprise. The earlier tariff generated controversies from experts across nations of the world, with some acknowledging that the decision was in the right place, while others are of the opinion that it is an economic war. Most importantly is the percentage allocation of the tariff to different countries and products entering the United States of America. On today's program, economic analyst Mr. SANI Emeje is here in our studio and will be joining us immediately after the news to discuss on a topic we caption the U.S. tariff regime, the issues. Stay with us.
In what can be described as a celebration of African culture to mark the 4th Conference of Development Partners of the World Customs Organization for West Africa and Central Africa in Abuja, Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, CGC, Mr. Bashir Adewale Adeni, reiterated stronger collaboration for an enhanced region.
It has therefore become very important, and it's an obligation for us to begin to dwell more on those things that brings us together, rather than those few things that are orchestrated, sometimes from outside our region, that divide us.
While acknowledging Nigeria's rich culture as typified of Africa, the CGC identified unity as a mark of prosperity.
Our music, our dance steps, most of the time they represent the same thing in Africa that has high percussion and high rhythm. It's the same that we find in some other parts of our sub-region. So what this thing tells me is very simple. Those things that unite us are more important than those things that separate us.
In their goodwill message, other special guests present, including the Vice Chairman, World Customs Organization for West Africa and Central Africa, who is also the Director General of Mali, Mr. Amadou Konet, expressed delight for the conference, particularly on effective deliberations that can help stimulate regional advancement.
It is for this reason that we are really happy and impressed to be in Abuja. To work together and to take charge to looking at our reforms.
The height of the event is the presentation of gifts and various cultural performances. ilẹ̀ èémẹ́jẹ ASO Television News.
What does it mean to be an African passionate?
Thank you for joining us on this interesting edition of your program, Business and Economy. And our guest, an economic analyst, Mr. SANI Johnson Emeje, is already here and is taking a look at the U.S. tariff regime and the issues surrounding all of the regime and the tariff. Mr. SANI, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Following reactions received from around the world, President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, decided to reverse or to pause his earlier decision for about 90 days, except for China. How do you see this decision?
Well, he did not reverse it.
Okay, he paused.
He paused. And before we go into the analysis, may I start by painting a little background into what he did. In the first place, the United States of America is not a small nation.
Okay.
It's a highly sophisticated country. Sophisticated militarily, science and technology. The United States is not importing things from other countries of the world because they are not able to produce. No, that is not the reason.
Okay.
There are some underlying reasons why in the first place they allow countries to produce for them. Number one, United States have this belief that allowing countries of the world to site their industries on their soil to produce things for them, it is seen as a pollution. They see it as polluting their atmosphere, carbon emission. Okay. So in their own estimation, they consider it better to allow countries produce in your state and send to us, we will buy.
Okay.
That's exactly what they did. And secondly, United States is also trying to create a neighborliness and friendship. They know that some of these countries are not up to their standard, and they want to use their own economy to boost their a kind of friendly economy.
Allied nations or
yes,
trade partners.
Their allies, their trade partners. Because countries where things are produced, that are the countries where employment is generated. US does not have problem with unemployment. So they feel that they don't need to cite industry in their place for them to live well. So they give specifications to countries of the world to produce some specific goods for them to buy. And again, I would like to proceed that what Donald Trump did is called a retaliatory policy, a retaliatory tariff.
Okay.
And what is a retaliatory? It's like you threw a stone to me, and I want to reply you back. I want to pay you back.
Do me, I do you.
Do me, I do you. Now, before now, All the other presidents of the United States of America had allowed countries to come to the United States of America. Yet, they imposed tariff on the United States.
Other countries of the world.
Yes, they imposed tariffs on goods coming from US to their own country. They imposed tariff and they never said anything. But it got to a point. You see, in life, there a point will come where you have to review no matter the policies you adopt. It's like the past president refused to review and to assess the reality that is on ground. The United States, as we see today, though they have the highest economy in the world, yet there is a strong competition coming between US and China. There is a hot chase by China against the US, and Americans, the immediate past president, ought to have taken cognizance of this hot chase being given by China against the United States. So when Donald Trump was campaigning for his second coming, he never pretended. He said that the United States is going down gradually and certain things must be done to reverse the ailing economy of the United States by implementing certain policies that will bring US back to its glorious years. And so, one of them, which he did, is this what we call retaliatory.
The tariff increment.
The tariff increment, which he did. And the whole world is crying. It is called a retaliatory policy because they did to US first. And when the whole world did against the US, I am surprised that nobody said anything. If you look at the ratio of what the US imposed on goods coming to the United States, you discover that virtually all the countries that brings goods to the United States, the retaliatory policies of the United States is lower than what they did against the US goods. Yes, the restrictive policy against goods coming to their own country from the United States, theirs is higher than what the US did against them. For example, as at the time he imposed 34% retaliatory policy, a tariff against China, China was charging US goods 64%. 64%. But when US increased theirs to 34%, the world started crying. Look at all the go back to the rate and check on the internet. All the tariff that US imposed on goods coming to the United States, their policies is less than all the other countries. And so, what American did, well, it could be it depends on where you are standing. You could criticize, but the reason why Donald Trump was elected by the Americans is to bring them back to their glorious years. US, whether we like it or not, is sliding down gradually, and somebody has to do something. And he did a campaign that if he becomes the president of the United States, this is what he will do. And he's doing it. He's doing it for the benefits of the United States of America. If I'm a father, I'm the head of a family, if there is anything I need to do to defend my own family, it shouldn't be your own problem. Go and do your own. People have argued that it was going to collapse the economy of the world, that the stock market is going to collapse. No! Even if it collapses, so as long as Donald Trump, who is the president of America, is doing the bidding of America to bring America to its glorious days, it should be, go and do in your own country. UK should do for their own country. China should do for their own country. Mexico should do for their own country.
I'm sure you say Nigeria should do for their own country.
Nigeria should do for their own country. So to me, that is what should be done. First of all, your own interest should be paramount.
Okay.
The US has done so much well. If you look at all the international organizations, for example, look at the World Health Organization.
Yeah.
Who are the major financiers? The US. Now, look at all the various epidemics around the world. Each time there is any epidemic and there's need for drugs to be produced at a very cheap, or to, it's only the ones that will bankroll the expenses that is involved in producing drugs. The United Nations, who are the major financier?
Who are they?
The United Nations. I mean, sorry, the United States. So America is like has taken the world on its shoulders, and it's like the load, the weight is pressing them down, and there is need for somebody to say, "Come on, let us call it. Let us review what we are doing," and that is exactly what Donald Trump is doing. And to me, I don't see anything wrong with what he's doing, but any other countries of the world are also free to do theirs. At the end of the day, they will come to the negotiating table, and a deal will be struck. After all, there's already relaxed the policy for 3 months. Countries, willing investors, any country that is really ready to do investment, to go into business, will approach the White House. Can we negotiate? If you go to the market to buy a goat, and the malam tells that the price of the goat is 40,000, that does not mean that you should pay that 40,000. You will negotiate. You just go bargain. You bargain until you get to a comfortable level.
That's equilibrium.
Equilibrium. So what the United States has done is to call what we call a price. Now this price is subject to negotiation. Rather than you crying and say we're going to retaliate, how many of them can stand US? How many of them can stand US? US is a very large economy. There is, so US, the way I understand US is that they can manufacture something that you must need it.
Okay.
So my advice to the other economy is to approach Donald Trump. Let us not thanks the world. Business is all about negotiation.
Yeah.
Even at the local market, you negotiate it, and there's nobody who will not be willing to bargain with a willing buyer and a willing seller. So that is my take.
Okay. How will you agree or disagree with the assertion from some quarters that this initiative from the US is all about winning the war against China? Like as we know, there is a stiff competition between America and China as to who controls the global economy. Can we be right to say then that America is using all economic postulations to retaining her dominance of the world's economy? Can we be right?
Exactly. A serious nation will do that. Not only US, even Nigeria. Any country, every nation will want to be ahead. The United States is very, very much aware that China is on a hot chase against them. As of today, the GDP of America is about 38 trillion, closely followed by China with about 18 trillion.
About 28 trillion.
About 28 trillion.
Yeah. 28
yes,
trillion
about
dollars.
28 trillion US dollars.
Yeah.
That is the America's GDP,
Yeah.
the size of GDP of America.
Yeah.
Now China is about 17 to 18 trillion dollars.
Yeah.
Now they are trying to close up. And so if you were to president of America, will you now say, because you want to maintain neighborliness and friendship of the whole world, and begin to undermine your economy? Won't you roll out inventions, policies that will also make you to increase the gear of the vehicles of your economy? You will. You will, definitely. Now, if you look at the way, if you look at what China is doing, there's no nations of the world that China does not have a hand, especially the third world countries. Look at Nigeria. See what China is doing in Nigeria. Everywhere you see the hand of China.
Exploring business.
Exploring and exploiting. Exploring and exploitation. Exploring and exploiting, and taking it back home. They are increasing the size of their business all around the world.
Okay.
And you want America to follow these signs? No. America will have to sit up. America to sit up. Africa did not sit up. In the next few years, China will overtake America, and that is their target. That's the target of China. So what and China is not even quiet about it. They are boasting about it. In fact, there was a comment that was made by the Chinese president that they can meet up with America even militarily. Understand? That even led to Donald Trump to summon the security chiefs of America. The world is full of competition, whether we like it or not, silently or violently. The world generally is all about competition, and there is nobody that would like to take the last seat. America is rolling out. This is just the few I've seen. First of all, he has cancelled aids and grants given to some countries. He has cancelled MLA, he has zoned office, and now he's imposing tariff against goods coming to the United States to enable them boost their own internal economy. Remember, if you begin to depend on goods produced in another economy, it will shrink your own economy. It will shrink your own country. So the more you produce in your own economy, the more employment is created, the more standard of living is created. Over the years, because America has given their production to other nations, there are already issues in America, and that's what they are trying to reverse. So all I see China doing is to look for more nations,
An alternative
market to America, to also increase the size of their own business.
Okay.
Understand? So yes, I quite agree that there is a stiff competition between America
and
China.
Okay. Do you not also foresee this leading to a global economic recession after all?
No, I don't agree with that argument. How do I say so? If I am a country and all that I consume is produced by my neighbors, and I got a point and I feel that why should I be depending on my neighbor? Can't I produce these things myself? And I discovered that I have the technology to produce myself, and I said, okay, in as much I will not stop you from producing for me. I want to start producing, and for whatever thing you want to bring to my house, to my country, I'm going to increase a tariff in order for me to earn more revenue. and you say, well, if I will not allow you, if I will not allow you to produce for me, then I'll go hungry? No. America is a very large economy. They can be self-sustained. Also understand that America is full of experts. The way you and I are looking, some American looks, America have all it takes to draw more countries to themselves. They are going to support that well for a lot of countries. As I said earlier, it is not a total ban. It's not a ban. It's not as if America has put embargo on countries coming to their country. That's not what they did. They have only increased tariff to restrict for what they can conveniently produce. It is not a ban. If America had banned goods coming to America, then probably would have said that the other countries of the world are also going to ban American goods from coming to their own country, and so it could lead to world recession. That's not what they did. They said, look, you have been producing for us. We want to produce a measure of ourselves. Meanwhile, we are not stopping you from bringing this goods to our country. Bring it to our country, but we also want to produce ourselves. What is wrong in that? There's nothing wrong in that.
Okay. Now, the problem is, what are the lessons for Nigeria to take or to draw from all of these initiatives by the Americans?
There are a lot of lessons.
Given the fact that Nigeria also dominates or is a dominant economic and political player in Africa. So what lessons do you think Nigeria can draw from all of this?
There are a lot of lessons to draw.
Like?
Number one, Nigeria has also been playing Big Brother Africa. That's been the role of Nigeria. Nigerians has been the country that has been helping out in some of these organizations in Africa. For example, AU. Nigerian is a dominant player, the major player. ECOWAS, Nigeria. ECOMOG, Nigeria. Nigeria has opened up her economy so much that anything comes to this country. Anything comes. Not only from Africa, but even from the world. There is nothing that is not imported to this country, including toothpick, including pin. Such an economy is very difficult to grow. Nigeria should learn that if we continue to do this, if we continue to do this, it will get to a point, just as it is now, that the economy is shrinking. Yes, Nigerians still have the highest size of GDP in Africa, but yet we could have gone far better than this. Do you know, as we speak, that Nigeria has nothing so much substantial that we are exporting?
How can you say that?
No, I cannot say, apart from crude oil and raw materials. Where are the free goods that Nigeria is exporting to any country? And that is why I'm in love with what President Bola Tinubu is doing. That's why I'm see, there are certain things that Nigerians must begin to do.
Like what?
And one of them is for Nigeria to begin to restrict certain things. Nigeria should begin to look inward and begin to consider what we can produce and begin to produce. If Nigeria should fall, if there should be a war, God forbid, and there is an embargo, as an embargo is placed on Nigeria, several things that we don't produce that we import, how will Nigeria survive? It is a lesson for the world. Every country must strive. Look at the vehicles that Nigeria import to this Nigeria imports. Why is Nigeria not making the environment conducive for Toyota to come and produce in Nigeria? Any motor produced anywhere in the world, the next week is in Nigeria. Nigeria is a major buyer of several vehicles.
Talking about foreign direct investment.
Yes. So why not make the environment very conducive for us to attract foreign direct investment to come and invest in Nigeria? Why should we begin to buy finished goods products? Such a country, there will be a problem. Understand? Nigeria has becoming a consumer, a major consumer of finished goods. It is not good. Our raw materials is still imported. I mean, it's been exported without adding value. We in Nigeria should begin to learn how to add value to our raw materials. Up to today, as we speak today, cocoa is being imported, it's been exported raw. No, we are losing value. Why not ask foreign investors to come and invest on our land? As in up to today, Nigeria is still exporting crude and we're still importing refined product. That is not how to manage a country. No, that's not how to manage a country. Nigeria should learn from America, because if we don't begin to learn how to produce internally, even our neighbors, as a land that Naira is the weakest country, if not in the world. Naira is the weakest currency, if not in the world. It is not good. And how will our currency improve when the value of our export is so little? After this African free trade continental.
Okay.
Now, what can you say is Nigeria's position in NAFTA?
All right.
We are not producing.
Okay.
Industries are closing up in Nigeria.
Okay.
So, an enabling environment will be created
All right.
for us to begin to produce internally,
All right.
so that we can have a buoyant economy.
All right.
In what can be described as a celebration of African culture to mark the 4th Conference of Development Partners of the World Customs Organization for West Africa and Central Africa in Abuja, Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, CGC, Mr. Bashir Adewale Adeni, reiterated stronger collaboration for an enhanced region.
It has therefore become very important, and it's an obligation for us to begin to dwell more on those things that brings us together, rather than those few things that are orchestrated, sometimes from outside our region, that divide us.
While acknowledging Nigeria's rich culture as typified of Africa, the CGC identified unity as a mark of prosperity.
Our music, our dance steps, most of the time they represent the same thing in Africa that has high percussion and high rhythm. It's the same that we find in some other parts of our sub-region. So what this thing tells me is very simple. Those things that unite us are more important than those things that separates us.
In their goodwill message, other special guests present, including the Vice Chairman, World Customs Organization for West Africa and Central Africa, who is also the Director General of Mali, Mr. Amadou Konet, expressed delight for the conference, particularly on effective deliberations that can help stimulate regional advancement.
It is for this reason that we are really happy and impressed to be in Abuja. To work together and to take charge to looking at our reforms.
The height of the event is the presentation of gifts and various cultural performance. Image ASO Television News.
What does it mean to be an African passionate?
Nigeria should take a clue from what America is doing, and that my guess says that Nigeria must look inwards and ensure that we add value to our raw materials so that we can have a conducive environment also, as well as having a sustainable economy. And that is the opinion of my guest. And that is the size of our package on this episode of Business and Economy. The guest we have been speaking with is an economic analyst, and he is Mr. SANI Johnson, a major. Mr. SANI, thank you so much for honoring our invitation to be on today's edition of the program.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
All right. And to our esteemed audience out there, we sincerely appreciate you for your time on this edition of the program. I am Ile, a major, saying good day to you.